south, there's a decent number of cliffs that do face south. So a lot of times when I've gone down, I climb at Stone one day and then I go out to Pilot the next day because you can get a lot of climbing in relatively quickly. This is a 5-7 route that Burn is on, and it was a wonderful route. One pitch, probably in the neighborhood of 150 feet to cliff. So just enough. Well, it's just enough. Well, it's probably about 100 feet because you can get off on one rope. So there's some trad leads there as well. So there's some sport routes, there's some trad routes, and then a lot of it's actually a top roping area. So most things are top roped, and a lot of them have sport anchors at the top. Even if they're not sport climbs, they'll still have sport anchors at the top. So it's a pretty easy place to go. It's got a really short approach. And you can see we're probably about 45 degrees there, and it was wonderful climbing.
I would say it has a short approach if you wrap in and climb out. Did you hike all the way in to the bottom?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
From the top?
In the neighborhood of 5 to 10 minutes.
Well, then you've got some intel maybe. I don't have.
We came out one way. So we went down one way and we walked out the other way. And I think the first time, the times when I climbed there a long time ago, we came in the second way, and you come in between the Pilot itself.
Okay. Oh, you're coming from below. Okay. So we usually drive up to the very top and go down.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Oh, okay.
See if I can go back to Mountain Project.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can't believe the amount of time, the years I've spent doing that.
Pilot Mountain is really cool. The feature on Pilot Mountain is actually is not climbable. Let's see if they have a picture of that.
Yeah,
it basically looks like a little volcanic plug.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. Sort of the history of these areas. Stone Mountain has bolts, and so there are a lot of people will say, it's sport climbing. And it's like, no, it was actually the folks who put it up did it in tennis shoes, and they were on that friction slab drilling while they were sitting there without protection. So it was from North Carolina is known for ground up situations, and Pilot Mountain is interesting because it's the feature. It's a dome, sort of. It almost looks like a dome of. Well, that actually looks like the new. But yeah, so it's and it was used for navigation, so the legend goes.
Yeah, so that's the feature right there.
Yeah.
So there's no climbing allowed on that because it has rare plants and animals living on it. So the climbing is across this valley is another cliff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had talked to a couple people that had climbed on it before they closed it. But another place that's out near there is called Sourtown Mountain, and it's kind of similar to the Gunks as well. One pitch, mostly bolted, but there's some trad routes there, but the access got really bad, and you have to hike in a really long way now, and it's only open for like 3 months out of the year in the winter. That's probably in the background there.
I would say directions to this place can also, GPS can kind of throw you. One of the times I went with some friends from DC, I brought them down, and it was like, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie French Kiss, but like where she wants to see the Eiffel Tower so bad, but it's always in the background and she can't get to it. And that was like that. We drove all over the county just staring at Pilot in the distance. So Mountain Project is a good resource for the maps.
So anybody have any questions about North Carolina or climbing in general? Anybody have any climbing trips planned?
We did, but we had to cancel them all because of the situation.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to the Red River. Don't worry.
I don't know anymore.
When is that trip supposed to be?
That was supposed to be in March.
2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah, I had some friends who were
We
going
had a
out
good
there
trip
for
in
spring break,
November.
and they just drove there and turned around, drove back.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Any comments? Any trips?
Just a comment, if you go to Pilot Mountain and you see a gold offset stopper jammed into the track, you're welcome to it. If you can get it out, just let me know so I can give you an award, because that's amazing.
I'll get it out.
It's pretty in there.
Yeah. Just take a hammer.
Yeah, bring a hammer, or,
Has anybody
It's
else
funny
been in North Carolina at all? Anywhere? I know Kim has. No, so we've got a lot of people that will go climb with me. First time.
What about
All
that
right, well-
looking glass wall? Is that close to Moore's Wall or different?
It's not. It is
No,
different.
it's a different.
Go ahead.
About 8 hours, 8 or 9 hours away from DC. Depends on how you go. It's a pretty interesting place because you got the south face or the south wall, which has a bunch of stuff that you can climb when it's relatively cool. But then you also have the place and that's all kind of 2-pitch and 3-pitch climbs, granite cracks mostly, which are super bomber. I mean, they are really good granite cracks. And then they have this other area called the nose, and you have 4-pitch route, probably 500, 600 feet long, where you're climbing on these things called eyebrows. So the wall is a relatively vertical wall, probably 80 degree angle, and you're climbing, but you're actually climbing a slab. And these eyebrow things are basically little underclings. So you're underclinging with your hands, and then you're stepping on these little slabby things with your feet. So they are one of the most interesting rock features I've ever climbed on. And 600 feet of climbing is pretty hard to beat.
And there's also.
Although I've been there.
Oh, sorry. In the same
Go ahead.
vein, about 8 hours away. I mean, if you're going to North Carolina for a while, you can sort of connect between these places easily. So you can start in Winston and get to all those 3 crags, and then you're only a few hours, 2 to 3 hours away from the other locations. There's Rumbling Bald, phenomenal climbing. Same thing, just wonderful crack climbing, granite cracks. And,
You done Frosted Flake?
I have. Yeah.
It looks cool.
fun.
Looks really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, it's one of those interesting chimneys. I like that a lot. And yeah, so Rumbling Bald is good. And then Linville Gorge, just an absolutely incredible resource for climbing.
That's where the daddy is, right? Linville?
I haven't done.
Yeah.
I haven't done that one.
And the Mummy, too.
Yeah, Mummy and the Daddy. Yeah.
Super classics.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'll do is when I was younger, I could just go climbing and, I didn't have to plan anything out. Pretty much anymore, I have to plan it out. So what I will do is I'll plan a certain weekend, long weekend. I'll take off 4 days, a couple of days off of work and a weekend, and I have to follow the weather. So I check the weather for North Carolina, I check the weather for the Gunks, and I check the weather out at the New or Kentucky, and I go where it's not raining. And often you can follow the weather. It's usually, sometimes when it rains on the entire East Coast, but not always. So that's one of the reasons I've probably been to North Carolina more than some other people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't had a chance to go to North Carolina, check it out. If there's some interest, maybe we'll do a club trip down there. And I do find that one thing about finding a new area is just finding the first climb. Once you figure out where the first climb is, everything else is easier after that. So sometimes if you can go with somebody else, that's great.
Yeah, it opens up a whole new area for you. Rick, I think we should do a club trip. I'm going to be here for a month at least. But I mean, they're not open, but I'm down to come back.
Well, maybe Moore's Wall will be, when we get out, maybe Moore's Wall will be open and we'll head down there. If not, we should get down there in the fall.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely. I've actually tried to plan women's trips for 2 years. They've gotten rained out. You know, you got to be careful with those weekends.
Your woman's trip to the new got canceled from the virus.
You did. Yeah. One day.
So, all right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll probably do another one. The second Wednesday of May, we'll do another one. I'll try to find a different area, and we'll see if Simon has said he wouldn't mind doing Chamonix maybe, and I think a couple of people have Bob Garber had talked about maybe doing the Gunks. The Gunks is a really great place to climb. I think the Gunks is an interesting place to climb if you're a new trad climber. There's just interesting 5-3 routes that are 3 or 4 pitches long. But if you're a hardcore climber, there's plenty of 5-9s and 10s and 11s to climb too. So there are literally hundreds of climbs at the Gunks of every grade.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm going to pick with some of them there.
Yeah, I've taken some whippers there, some hardcore whippers,
Yeah.
25-foot whippers with blood. Climb was called Crash and Burn, so I can't really. I wasn't warned.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for stopping in. We'll catch up here before too long.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, great
Thanks,
idea.
sir.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Do it again soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for doing this. This is great.
Yep.
Thanks
Thanks,
for coming
guys.
by.
This is great.
Thanks.
Thanks all. That was
Talk to
awesome.
you guys
See ya.
later.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Give me a second.